understand how to wear and use the gloves properly. Gloves should fit comfortably and be of the correct fit. Gloves that are too tight can restrict blood flow. Gloves that are too loose can be caught in moving machinery or other hazards. Everyone should be trained never to pick up glass or sharp parts without using proper personal protective equipment and other tools. Here is a hotel housekeeper picking up broken glass with tongs. A maintenance person cleaning up a spill with broken glass using a broom and dustpan. These are common sense items, but how often do you see people taking chances? It occurs frequently, and then they pay the price. The price of a hand injury is not a good bargain. When you work with chemicals, the employee should fully understand that all gloves are permeable, depending upon the chemical handled and the extent and duration of contact. You should select the proper protection for the chemical you'll be using, as one type of glove does not protect you from all chemicals. It's important to select the proper protection for the hazard. Here's an injury that PPE won't prevent. It's called carpal tunnel syndrome and isn't like crushing, cutting, or chemical injury. CTS injures the hand from within. Carpal tunnel syndrome is caused by irritation of the median nerve at the wrist. Any condition that exerts pressure on the median nerve can cause carpal tunnel syndrome. Symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome include numbness and tingling of the hand. The wrist is surrounded by a band of fibrous tissue, which normally functions as a support for the joint. The tight space between this fibrous band and the wrist bone is called the carpal tunnel. The median nerve passes through the carpal tunnel to reach the thumb, index, and middle fingers of the hand. Any condition that causes swelling or a change in position of the tissue within the carpal tunnel can squeeze and irritate the median nerve. Irritation of the median nerve causes tingling and numbness of the thumb, index, and the middle fingers, a condition known as carpal tunnel syndrome. RSI injuries are also created from inside the hand. Repetitive strain injuries occur from repeated physical movements doing damage to tendons, nerves, muscles, and other soft body tissues. Occupations ranging from meatpackers to musicians have characteristic RSIs that can result from the typical tasks they perform. The rise of computer use and flat, light-touch keyboards that permit high-speed typing have resulted in an epidemic of injuries of the hands, arms, and shoulders. Use of pointing devices like mice and trackballs are as much a cause, if not more so. The thousands of repeated keystrokes and long periods of clutching and dragging with mice slowly accumulates damage to the body. Another name for the condition is cumulative trauma disorder. Carpal tunnel syndrome and RSI can be prevented by the use of proper body positioning, frequent breaks, and exercising the part of the hand that gets the most wear and tear. Follow your company's policies and procedures to reduce these types of hand injuries. After all, they are your hands. Let's go back to some very typical hand injuries which can be extremely severe. Electrical burns. Electricity can be very dangerous, but most of us use electricity every day without injury, so we may forget the potential harm it can cause. Most of us think of electrical shock as the major injury from electricity. Shock is one potential, but severe burns can occur when part of the body contacts an electrical energy source. The amount of voltage, amps, and other conditions greatly affect the extent of the damage. Many hand injuries occur each year when people contact electricity with their hands or equipment. These injuries cause extremely serious damage to the skin and other parts of the body. Electricity can enter your body through the hand and go through your heart back down to ground. Electricity can enter the body through the hand and exit to ground through your foot or leg. The affected parts of your body depend upon many factors and conditions. You may touch electricity with your hand, but it could be damaging to your arm, body, and other body parts. The best advice is to stay completely away from electricity unless you have the proper training and personal protective equipment. Don't use electrical tools or equipment with wet or damp hands, and never stand in water or a wet surface when using electrical tools or electrical equipment. When an electrical injury occurs, it's usually very serious. It goes without saying that most hand injuries are the result of human behavior. Most of us have a tendency to forget about safety or potential hazards. Perhaps we feel as if we are protected well enough that nothing is going to happen, or we're just plain lazy and don't take the time or effort to work and act safely. There are many variables as to why people experience accidents. If every individual took safety seriously, followed safety policies and procedures, and worked safely on every job, there would be very few injuries. Is it so much to ask of people to protect themselves from injury? Does it require that much effort to work safely? Are hand injuries that much fun? No, the answer lies in each individual's responsibility to work and act safely. It's human nature to take shortcuts. It's human nature to think that an accident only happens to other people. No one wants to experience an accident or injury, but when we take our eye off the job or forget to think about safety, then that's when accidents occur. Hand injuries can be prevented, so make every effort to think about safety on each and every task you perform. Make safety a habit, because these accidents and injuries are a terrible waste of time, money, and your body. Don't become a statistic. Take time for safety. You're worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. I tell you, every time I see that video, it still irks me. I've been watching it now for 13 years now. I'm sure if any one of these people could talk to you, they would tell you exactly what the guy in the video said. Take whatever precautions you need to avoid injuries like that. Because what are you going to do without your hands? It's how you make a living. It's how you interact with people. It's how you interact with things in the world on a daily basis. Try tying your shoe with one hand. I used to do that example whenever I used to do the hand injuries training. It's not the easiest. And yes, they have Velcro shoes and they have boots that don't have laces, John. No, because he always likes to tell me, well, there's alternatives. There's ways that you can make things better for yourself. And yes, that is true. But if any of you got kids and you got young kids, diapers, they have come a long way, but at the same time, they haven't. To put your kid's diaper on, it still requires some dexterity in your fingers. They do have slip-ons, yeah, but those are typically for swimming. Anyhow, don't let this stuff happen to you. Be mindful of what you're doing out in the field. Be mindful of what you're doing just in general, even at home, because you can sustain a serious injury at home just as easy as you can on the job site. Right across the street, there's Bob. He's an operator. Anyways, he likes to work on skateboards. Right over there at DS Aikens. He works on skateboards on the weekends. He makes longboards. Really cool guy, awesome guy. He got distracted for like 0.2 seconds looking at a fine-looking girl down the street and then zipped off the end of his thumb. They ended up putting it back together. And insurance, yes, of course, costs. It took care of it for the most part, but still, you have to go through the deductible. You have to go through the process of going through the surgery and getting everything fixed. And it's just a pain in the butt. But all it took was 0.2 seconds for him to be distracted with the saw, and then he lost the tip of his thumb, basically from like right here on over. He showed me the picture of it when I was over at DS Aikens, the first of the month. It was a pretty nasty wound. But be mindful of what you're doing out there. Be mindful of what you're doing at home, because that stuff can happen in like a blink of an eye. Any questions? Wake up, Jay.
I'm sleeping.